The Shintaido techniques start with body movement, and they're based on the idea that the body changes first. I don't know how many times I was told that in practice in Tokyo, and the mind follows. Aoki Sensei used to say that the mind was about 6 months behind. And I wonder how that premise has the idea that the body can be our teacher. I wonder how that premise has affected the development of Shintaido in Japan and around the world. Have you thoughts about that?
Actually, I had this idea too. I had the same idea because I had received the same teaching.
Yeah.
And actually, I made a lot of my work in university. Many of the memoir I wrote were trying to show how the body could influence the mind.
Right.
And actually, I couldn't find evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, when at the end of my thesis on the kata, I made a thesis, a PhD thesis on kata as transferring knowledge from one generation to the other.
Right.
And I was presented by Master Aoki with a researcher, a Japanese philosopher. This person introduced me to the writing of a philosopher called Tetsuro Watsuji in Japan. Do you know Tetsuro Watsuji?
No, I don't.
Oh, you should read him. And Watsuji come with a very different idea. He said, actually, the way you write ningen in Japanese means being between.
Mm-hmm.
So he said this is a traditional vision of human being in Japan. We Japanese don't think the body and mind are separate.
Right.
There is body, there is mind, and what is important is what is in between.
Mm-hmm.
As a human being, we don't live in the body, we don't live in the mind, we live in between.
Mm-hmm.
We are in between being, he said. And well, actually, what is in between mind and body is feeling, perception.
Mm-hmm.
So as an individual, we live in our feeling. We live in our feeling. We don't know our body. We know the feeling of the body, and that's we live in the feeling. So in our feeling, body and mind are same. What affect the body affect the mind right away, and what affect the mind affect the body right away.
Right.
May have some time, but actually the real effect is instant at the same time. And also he said, he wrote a book called Ethic, Japanese Ethics. I forgot the Japanese title. So it's the same between you and me. Yeah, you, there's me, and we are both experiencing something between the two of us. And in between the two of us, there is no time, actually. We really feel what's happening. So we might have a different speech. Our speech might be different, but we both know what is happening in our relation because we feel, we have the feeling of what is in between us.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, actually, if we pretend something different than what we feel, as an educator, we create what some researchers call a double bind. I feel something, but that person is telling me something else, and that person has authority.
Yeah.
So I'm lost. And if you do that to children, they become insane, actually, because there is such a big difference between what is said and what they feel.
Yeah.
Or anyway. So it's difficult for me to answer your question because I have not this idea. I don't believe. Maybe I was told that, but I think it was a way of presenting it. Okay, you please practice, and the change will come. Something like that. It's a way of giving hope to person. And don't wait for big change too quickly and this kind of thing. But it's a way of teaching. It's a form, actually. But the essence of the process is there's no time between body and mind. It's instant. The change are readily change. Yeah. And in my experience, this is what I lived. When I was in Japan, every day I was a different person.
Yeah.
Every day I practice. I remember with Egami, every practice was so rich. So many ideas came, and I had 3 different visions of the world and myself. One being the opposite of the other in only one keiko, So wow, I was like a rocket.
Yeah.
Every day, changing. And I could really assess, I'm changing. And I had this difficulty yesterday. Today, I don't have any more difficulty. I can talk to people. I'm not, So that's my idea about body mind change.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
In the 1960s, Japanese Shintaido was characterized by openness.
Yeah.
And today, the world seems to be becoming more segregated into small, like-minded groups. How does the Shakunetsu book speak to the present world? And what does it offer people today, especially young people?
So that's a question, one of the questions which is difficult for me. Actually, I told you about all the hippies.
Yes.
So when, like you, I can see that the world nowadays is very different from what it was in those times, and I'm not sure. So we think we were free, and now the world is more conservative, more small group. Yeah, each group, believing in their own belief and and making their small world among themselves. But it's the way things are today. We don't have any more big unified belief,
Right.
Even big churches or big movement.
Yeah.
Very quickly they separate into small subgroups.
Yeah.
With kind of different and so I'm not sure. There are boundaries and there are doors.
Yes.
And no system can live without boundaries.
Right.
each of our body cell has
Yes.
some kind of skin.
Mm-hmm.
And even each organ has kind of skin. You know,
Right.
my liver doesn't work the same way as my lung or my heart.
Right.
But anyway, the system communicates through specific protocol.
Right.
And so we may share things, but if I want to talk to some system, a person belonging to a system which is not my own native system, I have to learn how that person communicates, what are the basic values of this group. Then I can talk within their language, and then we can communicate. And they do the same effort for me. They try to understand the way I think, and they talk in a way that I can understand.
Right.
And I think openness, the way we believe about openness in that time, we share, we love each other, of course we understand each other. And
yeah, right.
I think that wasn't really, it's a nice feeling actually. It's a relieving feeling, but we don't have to make an effort anymore. You know, we understand each other. Yeah. But I'm not sure it's a reality of nature and culture. I don't think so. So, you know, for example, when people ask me what is Shintaido, I try to explain. I used to try to explain. And then one day I was explaining to one guy, and he was really right. And then suddenly I had an inspiration. I said, well, this is a kind of Japanese Tai Chi. And then the guy said, oh yeah, I see. You know, he felt comfortable.
Yes. Yeah.
Then I thought, well, I feel kind of imposture, is it in English?
Yeah, right.
To say, because it's not a Japanese Tai Chi actually.
Right.
But if that guy understand it this way in what he has in his own mind, then I should be okay with that.
Yeah.
So now I feel okay. I say it's a Japanese Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Recently, I read somewhere that that guy, karate guy, making many movies, Bruce Lee.
Yes.
When he came at that time, what was really famous was karate.
Yes.
Breaking wood. And then he was bringing Kung Fu.
Right.
And Kung Fu is quite different, very close to Tai Chi, Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Then he was at a loss to explain what was Kung Fu.
Right.
And then he said, well, I decided that I will say that Kung Fu is a Chinese karate.
Yeah.
And people were happy with that. Then he even changed, because in Kung Fu, for example, they don't have making raw,
right,
Tibadachi and doing tsuki. They don't do that in Kung Fu. They do kata, tao, let's say tao. And but he changed them. So in his movie, you see people doing Kung Fu and breaking wood, and they do everything karate does, just in order to be known.
Yeah, right.
And once the Japanese Kung Fu and Tai Chi started to be known by the world, then gradually they changed and didn't say anything about Chinese karate. So okay, I'm a Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I'm a Bruce Lee fan as far as communication is concerned. So I feel good to say it's a Japanese Tai Chi, and I'm going to write that. You know,
Yeah.
when the next September we open a group here, and I will write it. Japanese big
Yeah.
Japanese Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Because I know many people will come. Oh, I need to do Tai Chi. I heard
Yeah.
about Tai Chi. Then we will do Taimyo and this kind of, really, we won't shout and jump and we do what they are expecting. Then, we will enlarge the vision, but not too much, actually, not too much.
Right.
You shouldn't go too fast in changing what people have in mind.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I understand. About the world. So the world is not conservative. I think the world is the world, and, and I can see the young people who are very free. They are really like they are really in the world, but in their mind they are really like as we were in the 60s. But they are fully in their own society, actually. They don't feel they are out of society, they are in. So they are not conservative, actually. They are not conservative. They are in their own world. Yes.
Thank you. One major theme of the interviews is that the interviewees found Shintaido to transform their lives and make their lives really different, bigger, changed. And you knew many of the early practitioners and you talked in depth with them later in their lives. From your personal experience, did you see anything that they had in common that made you say, that came from Shintaido?
It came from the practice they did, which was not Shintaido at that time.
Right.
Actually, there is one big thing that is shown by this book, which is kind of overlooked by followers or their followers. It's actually the generation effect is very strong in martial arts, and especially at that time in Japan. And when you're a first year, you feel like you're a dwarf, and you have giants. Right. And so already second years looks grown up, and you feel like a kid. They say that. And second year, third year, where like a semi-god. And fourth year or sensei looked like God.
Yeah.
So the generation effect was very big.
Right.
So in Raktenkai, we have at least clearly two generations.
Yeah. Right.
The generation of the people who came from karate, and they are martial art minded. They want to become stronger, and the usual martial art stuff. And they gradually changed by practicing or by talking with Master Aoki. He when he came to the martial art, he was just looking for exercise. He wasn't really fond of martial art, but he came to like it. Then, okay, he became a full-blown martial artist. But he always was aware that, okay, I'm doing martial art, but I like martial art, but not because it's transformative process.
Right.
it can transform people. Then, anyway, you have the first generation, Hokari, Kato, Ito, Okada, who are really real martial art guys. And then you have this second generation who came almost after the Eiko and,
right.
and Tenshin also had been created. So after 65, before 65 and after 65, very different. Gan, Inagawa, and
Right.
Kayo Hirata, and Hideko Hokari, and all those people.
Yeah.
And they came not for martial arts. Sometimes they came for religion. Some of them say, oh, I don't practice so much. I'm interested in the Bible. Or I'm interested in tea ceremony.
Right.
And or I'm just interested to share the activity of those people who are so artistic and so outstanding individual, and I want to become like them.
Right.
But not, I don't want to become strong or whatever. So this second generation is actually very different. And I can't say anything about the effect of the practice in Ito's life or Hokari's life. They changed, but it wasn't a big revolution for them. Somehow. They remained in the martial art world, somehow. Right. But if you read the biography, and if you know the second generation, you can see that really Shintaido had a big effect in their life.
Yeah.
You can really see it. The job they did, like Gan Okada, he started to take care of handicapped people, or Kayo Hirata, same. She took care of handicapped people. So if you read their biography, you see that their life, they made almost a U-turn or a big turn, or they just they changed world. They live in some world, and after practicing, they live in a totally different universe.
Yeah.
So in their case, the changes are very big. Yeah, it's a big benefit from reading this book.
Yeah.
To see how much their life was affected.
Right.
You are a reader, Bible reader, more than me, but somehow I never understood the Moses and Aaron and another guy, patriarchs, they couldn't enter the promised land. I wondered why God did that, But they could see it from the nearby mountain.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's very cruel, actually. But with this generation effect, I see, okay, I see. It's not because they got punished. Because they were different. They believe in some idols and this kind of stuff. So it remained in them. So they changed. They are fully new life, I'm sure. But somehow they belong to the old martial art world. There is something which belongs to the old martial art world in them. We are in Promised Land, and they are kind of watching us from the nearby mountain.
Yeah.